It's not stopping. What's not stopping? Well, bullshit Barbie is back with another press conference. And I would say that I, missed her pressers, but they just make me angry. Now, in a moment of complete irony, Caroline Levitt spoke about Iran being a totalitarian regime. Play that clip.
One more, Carrie, because I promised you earlier.
So the Ayatollah Khomeini came out and said that Iran will, quote, never surrender to the U.S. That being said, what remains to do with the possible responses from Iranian proxies in the region and even in the U.S.?
Look, we saw the Ayatollah's video, and when you have a totalitarian regime, you have to save face. I think any common sense, open-minded person knows the truth about the precision strikes on Saturday night. They were wildly successful, and it's what led to the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran, which the president is very grateful for. And the United States of America remains prepared to defend our assets and our personnel in the region. And again, I would just emphasize the success of the strike that took place on Saturday night, and the world is a safer place because of it. Thanks, guys, for coming today, and you'll see the president at 4 o'clock. Thanks, Caroline.
I mean, it's truly amazing. Again, just show us the evidence. They don't want to show the evidence. They just want to tell you about the evidence. And by the way, if it was truly successful, which I don't know if it was a total obliteration, but it was definitively there was some successes, how about just concentrate on those? Now, Levitt then tried to compare the way Obama and Biden dealt with Iran to Trump's attack last weekend. Play that clip.
The Iranian regime was weeks away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon that would threaten the entire world before President Trump took this decisive action on Saturday night to obliterate their nuclear capabilities. The contrast in leadership could not be more clear. Barack Obama and Joe Biden sent pallets of cash, American taxpayer dollars, in a failed attempt to buy the Iranian regime's compliance with a weak and ineffective deal. President Trump sent a fleet of American warplanes to destroy Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon. The United States and the entire world are safer because of this president's decisiveness. Despite agenda-driven leaks by the fake news media aimed at undermining this incredible accomplishment achieved by President Trump and our brave fighter pilots, there is broad consensus emerging already that Iran's nuclear capabilities were indeed destroyed.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start with the inaccurate statements. One, Biden and Obama sending pallets of cash. By the way, I want you to Google it. The cash that they sent was actually seized Iranian money that the United States had been holding for over 2 decades. That's just the first of the misstatements that's coming from our press secretary. Imagine. So a reporter then goes and asked if Trump would consider reinstating security clearances for former officials as the tensions continue to rise with Iran. Play that clip.
In January, President Trump revoked security details for several former administrations, including Mike Pompeo, Mark Milley, and John Bolton. Given the heightened tensions with Iran right now, is he considering restoring those security details?
That's not under consideration right now, Fran.
Okay, sounds like a pretty affirmed answer, right? The whole purpose of giving the security clearance to former individuals in these positions of power is that when you do have crises such as we have right now with Iran, you have people who actually have some historical perspective. Now, she also goes and speaks about how Trump used Truth Social to direct Congress to defund Voice of America. Truth Social is now the official line of communication. You can't make this shit up. Play the clip.
One more. After Carrie Lake, she testified in the House Foreign Affairs Committee on the waste, fraud, and abuse and the rot, really, in Voice of America and USAGF. The president called for Congress to kill it. What does that look like, and is the president willing to sign an executive order?
Well, I believe that action would have to be legislative through Congress, and the president directed Congress to get that done in his Truth Social post yesterday. If there is any executive action that can be taken to cut some of the waste, fraud, and abuse or do away with the program entirely, I'm sure our great Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, is already looking into it. And if it can be done, it will be done here at the White House, but Congress should act as well.
I'm so blown away by the responses coming from our press secretary. I mean, it's really hard to just imagine that she is actually the press secretary for the President of the United States of America. Meanwhile, Levitt then brought up Zohran Mamdani, right, winning the Democratic mayoral primary this week in New York City. Now, I'm going to do another video on this, but I do want to show you what Caroline had to say about it. Fascinating. Play the clip.
So it was a great meeting, and Republicans are very unified. And we also talked about the mayoral race in New York City and how the victory of the Democratic primary candidate really shows how far left and unhinged the Democrat Party has become. And Republicans truly are on the right side of every issue in this country. We are on the side of no men and women's sports, on the side of low taxes, secure borders. So that was the topic of discussion. And the unity was strong and the camaraderie was high. And I know everyone looks forward to being here at the White House for the bill signing.
Again, she lives in a world of delusion. Now, let me be very clear. There are many things about Mamdani that I don't particularly like. Now I'm going to have to, I guess, explore more about him and his positions, as I would have to say I was probably more aligned with Cuomo than I am with Mamdani. Meanwhile, Caroline continued to rant about CNN's Natasha Bertrand. You really can't make this up. A journalist being attacked now by the White House for reporting on the Iran strike, not as this administration wanted it to be reported as. Play the clip.
I will add Natasha Bertrand of CNN, who has done this in the past. In 2020, it was Natasha Bertrand who had 51 intelligence analysts falsely lie to her, but she still put it on paper for some reason, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. We all know that's not true, right? We can all agree on that now. That was a lie from the intelligence community. Also in 2020, this same reporter, Natasha Bertrand, wrote that a top intel agency ruled out the man-made lab leak theory of the coronavirus origins. Again, the president was right about that. This reporter wrote a lie from the intelligence community to seek a narrative she wanted to prove, and guess what? We now know that's the truth. Also, in 2024, Bertrand pushed the suckers and losers hoax. She also pushed the fine people hoax, which was taking the president's words purposely out of context. And then last October, and I believe this is notable, Natasha Bertrand published an article in Politico from the intelligence agency. She said that John Ratcliffe was speaking without any evidence when he said Iran was attempting to undermine President Trump's presidential campaign. And then we, of course, found out that was absolutely true. In fact, the Biden administration declassed an intel report which said they had high confidence that Iran had done exactly what Ratcliffe alleged. They did run an influence campaign to hurt President Trump's candidacy. In fact, we know the Iranians tried to take President Trump's life. And so this is a reporter who has been unfortunately used by people who dislike Donald Trump in this government to push fake and false narratives. She should be ashamed of herself. And that's not what reporting is.
And I would ask you the same question. Then what is acting as a press secretary supposed to be all about? Pushing false narratives? Making up all sorts of statements? Really? Really? We're not talking about her making up lines. We're talking about her understanding, which I think is pretty simple if you speak English, in regard to comments that are coming out of the very mouth of the man who we all call Mr. President. CNN, of course, issued a statement yesterday regarding these attacks on Natasha. Let me read it to you. In it, it turned around and it says, CNN issued this statement on Wednesday defending Bertrand and saying, and I quote, "It does not believe it is reasonable to criticize CNN reporters for accurately reporting the existence of the assessment and accurately characterizing its findings, which are in the public interest." Jake Tapper, a top anchor at the network, also defended Bertrand. Here's the quote. "President Trump and his administration are going after shooting the messengers in an increasingly ugly way." All right, let me go on to say this. Caroline further attacked the Miami Herald for reporting that a federal official visited a state-funded children's shelter in the Florida Keys. Why? In order to try and wait. Listen, check this out. In order to try and wait for their undocumented parents to come visit. Play the clip.
Thank you, Caroline. The Miami Herald recently published a story saying the Trump administration was targeting migrant foster children. The Trump administration has denounced this as false. Could you clarify the Trump administration's position on protecting migrant children, particularly the 300,000 lost under the Biden administration?
Yes, I saw that Miami Herald article yesterday, and I was aghast at the headline. It's egregious to accuse this administration of trying to target foster children. That is not at all what is happening at the Department of Homeland Security. And I learned that the Department of Homeland Security actually tried to work in good faith with this reporter to get this story right, to explain that this administration is trying to protect foster children. We are trying to keep children out of harm's way, even if that means their parents are not law-abiding citizens. We want to protect children, unlike the previous administration, which allowed children to be trafficked and raped, and in some cases killed because of the open border policies. Unfortunately, the Miami Herald just completely degraded themselves with this report, despite having a full list of facts from the Department of Homeland Security. It's another example of fake news.
Again, just truly, if you want to be aghast from the nonsense that you're reporting. Now, earlier this week, Levitt went on Fox, no doubt, to speak about the Iranian attacks. She said that no other president in history was this successful. Play the clip.
No other president in history could have ever dreamed of such a success, and that's exactly why the fake news media is now trying to demean and undermine the president. And we've seen this playbook be run before. You have hostile actors within the intelligence community who illegally leak bits and pieces of an intelligence assessment to push a fake news narrative. And that's what the CNN story was yesterday. And it's not a coincidence that it was written by the exact same CNN reporter who wrote the original story, falsely alleging that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. The American public are smarter than this, and they should know the truth. President Trump completely and totally obliterated the capability of Iran to produce a nuclear weapon, and the world is safer today because of his historic efforts.
So at that news,
it's really amazing. It's word for word right out of the script that she read while standing on the podium. Caroline also said that the FBI is investigating now the leak. Hint, hint, maybe start with Signal.